Good afternoon. It's me, Larry, and I'm coming to you live from Stevie's room. Today's video is a two-part series on feeding feral cats, and it's starting with part one at your home. It's almost comical that I actually have to make a video on feeding a cat in your own backyard. Um, but I, but it's very true. You have to. Let me start by saying that you need to first know all the laws of your region. You need to find out are you able to do that? In Miami-Dade County where I live, you can feed a cat on your property. And they encourage neutering and vaccinating, which I also do. They even do it for free at the shelter. And feeding a cat, even at your property, does not constitute ownership. You don't own that cat. It's a community cat. So those are some things that in my region are that way. That may not be the same, 45 minutes up in Hollywood, Florida, or somewhere else. I mean, I'm talking about my unincorporated Miami-Dade County. The other jurisdictions may have different, the city of this or the city of that. These little minor ordinances that may have certain ordinances, but the general consensus is nobody's going to give you a hard time about feeding a cat on your own property. Regarding people, you may have seen a mortgage company commercial where they show a person moving, and they're moving because their next door neighbor was feeding cats, and the couple sitting there very quietly and sarcastically saying it was a catastrophe. Look at Mrs. So-and-so feeding the cats, and they show the lady, hi, with a bunch of cats going meow, meow, meow around her like a dingbat. They make her look like the crazy cat lady. Mind you, they never do anything to help that person. That person's compassion is being demonized. They are the hater of the cat. They are the enemy of the cat. And they are not your buddy. So you need to really be up on it. And you need to assume that every single person in your neighborhood is that guy until they prove themselves otherwise. Now, if you were to round up 10 average people, you will find that 6 of them really don't care one way or another. They don't like them. They don't dislike them. They might even watch one of my shorts and be amused. I mean, they really they're indifferent to the whole thing. Then you get about 2 that really like them, but they don't really do anything. They don't help. They're, God bless you, you're wonderful, how nice, how this, that. They're taking up your time, which sometimes they scare the animal. But if you're feeding it in front of your house, it runs away. They're benign but annoying, but be polite. Be polite to all of them, even the hater. Well, except the extreme hater. Then you got the last 2. The last 2, you've got one type of person that silently rages. What I mean by that is they look at you and they give you hate looks, and they want to say something, but they don't. They're trying to hold it in, but they're letting you know with their eye contact that they hate the cat and they hate you for helping the cat, and they're silently dealing with this. And then you've got the last person who's the one who wants to hurt them. They hate the cat just as much as you love it. They hate you. They hate the cat. And they might even get in your whole face and confront you. They're a Karen. And they may not do it directly. They may come up to you and say something like, there's bird poop on my roof. And that's because the birds are eating the cat food. Huh? I don't have a bird feeder. I don't have bird seed. I don't. the bird that crapped on my car. I mean, like, I didn't put a note saying, please, here's a nice target for you. Like, they're looking for a reason to dig in, but what they're really after is the cat. That's what they know, that's what's coming to your house. And I saw a possum up the block. I saw a raccoon 2 blocks down. One person actually did it by proxy. My husband doesn't like cats. We're talking about like one cat that was being chased away by another cat that ended up at his house. And mind you, in my neighborhood, I've seen some neighbors that are cat friendly. Mine is not a cat friendly neighborhood. But I've seen cat friendly neighborhoods where they feed them and they don't do all the work, and next thing you know, they got all these kittens, and that's a problem too, but a different problem. If you're in one of those, you really need to step on this, because eventually somebody's going to come and move in that neighborhood that doesn't like cats, and you have an overpopulation problem in that community. I do not have that, because I've gotten them all neutered and vaccinated, and for a large swath of my area, maybe you have only a few cats. And I would take them in. But if it's life or death, that cat's coming in. Any of them. But don't talk to your neighbors about cats. I got into a quarrel with a friend of mine who a cat came to her house, and she said, I was very concerned. If you're really that concerned, why didn't you take it in? Well, I spoke to my neighbors. I said, oh, great. And the cat has a person that owns it. Well, why was it at your house at 3 in the morning when you came home late? Obviously, they weren't really taking great care of it. Why don't you take it in? I'm allergic. There isn't everybody. I'm not taking it in. I said, so in other words, you went and told all your neighbors about this cat, and they all sounded so nice and caring, and they told you this person had an owner, and guess what? The first paw print that's on a car, the first scratch that they see on anything, guess who's going to be blamed? And guess who initiated that? You. Don't be that person. Don't talk to your neighbors about cats. Don't. Unless they're cat friendly and they're feeding them, and make sure you get them neutered and try and do. Obviously there are some neighborhoods and some people. I don't live in that. I come from a very different world. I come from a world of they hate them, and they won't tell you. They quietly hate them, and that's another thing about when you're in a cat unfriendly neighborhood. What people feel is if you don't feed them, they'll go away. But they don't go away. They're not going to pack their bags and move to Hawaii. They'll go to the next house, until finally somebody feeds them. And when that person feeds them, they will demonize that person. When that happens, then also word gets out. There's a very nice man at the end of the block over there. And now you got another one. They dump it there. Someone dumps a cat there. So instead of 2, you got 3. Now you got 4. Now you got 5. That's why rescues don't give their addresses. They're afraid they'll end up with kittens in their mailbox. People abandon animals where they think there's going to be someone that's going to care for it. I once had a cat get out my door, and I put a sign up, and next thing I know, I got a new cat right at my house that was friendly. So, yeah, your neighbors. Aren't they great, huh? Remember that. Remember these words. Remember that above all, you're fighting for them. That's what you got. And you need to think about that when you confront them. You need to hold it in. You need to be diplomatic. If you get the real carrot, I'm calling the police, I'm calling this, do it. You'll be surprised. A lot of police officers care about the animals. You have a right to feed a cat in your own backyard, and make friends in animal services. There's people there that they want you to participate in some communities. Certainly here in Miami, they do. Not everybody hates kids. You need to align yourself with the people who don't hate them. But you have to assume in your neighborhood that you're best off doing this on your own. Nobody's. And if you get another cat there, you know probably it came from somebody dumping it there. So with that in mind, be safe, good luck, and we will do part 2 is feeding them on the street. Thanks for listening.